Hi everyone. I'm Jessica Miller from Boston. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist at Boston Children's Hospital. My job is to help kids overcome physical challenges, and it's what I love most. But today, I'm here to tell you how my father's new wife tried to tear our family apart, only for karma to step in. Ready for your session, Tommy? I ask as I adjust the therapy equipment. My 8-year-old patient grins back at me. Helping kids like Tommy become more independent is what gets me out of bed every day, smiling. Watch this, Miss Jess. Tommy says proudly. He takes 3 steps without his walker. That's amazing. High five, buddy. I cheer and clap enthusiastically. Later that day, I meet my best friend Amy for coffee at our favorite spot, near Boston Common. Your mom would be so proud of you, Jess, Amy says, stirring her latte. It's been 3 years since my mom passed, and I miss her every day. I smile, but my heart still aches. Dad's been my rock through all of this, I tell her. He's coming to dinner tomorrow night. How's he doing all alone in that big house? Amy asks. I pause. Actually, he's been volunteering at the community center. Says it helps him pass the time. The next week, Dad calls me. He sounds more excited than usual. Jessie, I met someone. Her name's Linda Williams. She runs the fundraising committee at the community center. I'm genuinely happy for him. I know Mom would have wanted him to find happiness again. But soon, things start moving way too fast. Linda's always around, and her presence feels overwhelming, like ivy growing up the walls of our family home. One evening, I decide to stop by Dad's house without warning. Jessie. What a surprise, Linda says, opening the door like she owns the place. Her smile looks fake. Inside, I notice something. Where's Mom's crystal vase? It's always been on the mantel. Oh, that old thing? It was just collecting dust. I put it somewhere safer, Linda replies casually, waving her hand. Dad comes out of his study. Linda's been helping me reorganize the house, honey. It needed some updates, he explains. I bite my tongue and say nothing, but something doesn't feel right. 3 weeks later, over dinner, Dad drops a bombshell. Linda and I are engaged, he announces. Her kids, Madison and Tyler, will move in next month. I freeze, my fork clattering against my plate. Engaged? Dad, you've only known her for 6 weeks. When you know, he says with a dreamy smile. Linda's been amazing with finances too. She's even helping me reorganize my investments. Suddenly, red flags start waving in my mind, but Dad doesn't see any of it. That night, my phone buzzes. It's Amy. Can't tonight, I text back, but I need your detective skills. Something feels off about Linda. Amy responds quickly, already on it. Michael's cousin works at the community center. Want to guess who got fired from their last 3 jobs? I stared at the message, my stomach churning. This was only the beginning of discovering who Linda really was. I couldn't let her hurt my father or erase my mother's memory from our lives. A fresh start. Linda announced cheerfully one afternoon as she hung abstract art where Mom's garden photographs used to be. James, honey, where should we put my antique mirror? Dad barely looked up from his laptop. Whatever you think is best, dear. That evening during dinner, Madison, Linda's daughter, whined, I need a MacBook Pro for my school projects. The one I have is so old. Of course, sweetie, Dad replied, reaching for his credit card. I nearly choked on my water. Dad had never been this casual about spending money before. Speaking of money, Linda chimed in, James, I've been reviewing our accounts. Jessica's medical school fund is just sitting there since she chose a different career path. We could invest that in the kids' education. I froze. Dad, that's Mom's inheritance money. Now, Jessie, Linda interrupted smoothly, you're already established in your career. Madison and Tyler are just starting out. Dad nodded absently. Linda knows about these things. She's helping secure our family's future. The next week, I tried calling Dad to talk about helping at the annual Children's Hospital fundraiser, a tradition Mom started, and we'd carried on ever since. My calls went straight to voicemail. Later, I saw photos on Linda's social media. Dad was at the fundraiser, posing with her and the kids. Your father thought it best to avoid any awkwardness, Linda texted me. You understand. Then came Thanksgiving. I arrived early, ready to help cook like always. Oh, Jessica. Linda said, acting surprised. Didn't you get my message? We changed dinner to 2 p.m. Everyone's already finished eating. I stood in the doorway, holding Mom's sweet potato casserole, her special recipe. Through the dining room window, I saw Dad laughing with Linda's extended family. There are some leftovers in the kitchen, Linda added sweetly. You can eat in your old room and have some quiet time. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong. I logged into Dad's email. He'd never changed the password Mom set. What I found made my heart race: investment statements showing large transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. The next day, I showed Amy everything. She's a professional con artist, Amy declared, showing me the results of her research. Look at these court records. 3 different families, same pattern. She marries wealthy older men, isolates them from their children, and drains their accounts. Michael joined us later. My cousin at the community center said she was asking about your father's finances before she even met him. This wasn't random. I started documenting everything: the missing family heirlooms, the suspicious account transfers, and the isolation tactics. But every time I tried showing Dad the evidence, Linda was there, ready to deflect. James, I'm worried about Jessica's obsession with our finances, she said, placing a hand on his arm. My therapist friend says this behavior often stems from unresolved grief. Maybe she needs professional help. Dad turned to me with pity in his eyes. Honey, I know losing your mom was hard, but Linda's family now. What Linda didn't know was that I had 3 things she didn't expect. I'm more stubborn than she thought. I have friends in very useful places. I had just received a very interesting email from her ex-husband's lawyer. Game on, Linda. Game on. The email led me to Diana Roberts, one of Linda's former co-workers from Morgan Financial in Chicago. We met at a quiet cafe in downtown Boston. Linda Williams? Diana shook her head. Her real name is Linda Blackwood. She's had 4 other last names too. Diana slid a thick folder across the table. I've been gathering evidence for years. I opened the folder. Inside were termination letters, police reports, and photos. Linda had worked at 3 major financial firms, leaving each one under suspicion of fraud. She targets clients like your father, wealthy widowers, Diana explained, lowering her voice. By the time they realize what's happening, the money's already gone. I leaned in, heart pounding. What do I do now? Check your father's retirement accounts, Diana said firmly. That night, I pulled out Dad's old laptop, which he'd left at my place. My hand shook as I logged in and opened his retirement portfolio. What I saw made my blood run cold: massive transfers to an offshore account, over $2 million gone in just a few months. My phone buzzed. It was Michael. You need to see this. His text read, Tyler just got expelled from Bradford Prep. Your dad paid $50,000 to keep it quiet. What did he do? I texted back. Hacked the school's grading system. Michael replied, sold test answers. Madison was involved too. I kept digging into Linda's past, and each story was the same: marriage, isolation, financial ruin, and disappearance. Her previous husband in Seattle lost everything: their house in Bellevue, their savings, and even his boat dealership. Then, I found someone who had escaped her, Robert Chen from San Francisco. We video chatted that evening. Linda almost destroyed my family, Robert explained. She had all my passwords and transferred money daily. My daughter discovered it, just like you did. But Linda's smart. She makes her victims too embarrassed to press charges. The next day, Dad called. His voice sounded strained. Jesse, Linda thinks it's best if we update my will. You understand, right? Madison and Tyler need security. My heart sank. Linda was nearly done with her plan. But then I caught a break. At her previous job at Boston Capital Group, Linda had pulled the same scheme. I reached out to their security department. The head of security replied quickly. Miss Miller, we've been building a case. Linda Blackwood's activities fit a pattern, And we're investigating multiple victims across 5 states. I sent them everything I had, bank transfers, the documented patterns, and Diana's evidence. They connected me with FBI agent Sarah Martinez, a financial crime specialist. You're not alone, Agent Martinez assured me. We've linked her to over $15 million in fraud, but we need more recent evidence. That weekend, I noticed Linda's brand new luxury car. Curious, I checked Dad's office and found the dealership paperwork. It was in his name. I quickly photographed it. As I turned around, Linda appeared in the doorway. Looking for something? Her voice was cold as ice. Just Dad's old fishing photos. Mom loved those trips, I replied calmly. Linda stepped closer. Let me make something clear. Your father signed everything over to me, the house, the accounts, everything. He doesn't need you anymore. Back off, or I'll make sure you never see him again. I met her gaze steadily. You know what's funny, Linda? Con artists get so focused on their schemes, they forget to watch their own backs. Her confident smile faltered slightly. What she didn't know was that while we spoke, Agent Martinez was receiving an anonymous tip about irregularities at Linda's current employer. The tip came from Linda's own assistant, who had been quietly documenting everything. The dominoes were set. It was time to watch them fall. The house of cards collapsed on a Tuesday morning. I was helping Tommy with his therapy session when my phone lit up with messages. Linda's been detained by the FBI at her office. Michael texted, "It's happening." Agent Martinez had orchestrated simultaneous raids, one at Linda's workplace and another at our family home. The FBI found solid evidence of a massive financial fraud scheme spanning multiple states. Not only had Linda been stealing from Dad, but she had also embezzled millions from her company's clients. I rushed to Dad's house and found him sitting in his armchair, stunned. He was holding papers Linda had tried to shred, documents showing she'd been transferring our family home into her name. "I've been such a fool, Jesse," he whispered, his voice broken. "Everything you tried to tell me, I should have listened." The next morning, the Boston Globe headline read, "Financial advisor arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme." Linda's previous victims came forward, families from Seattle, Chicago, and San Francisco. Madison and Tyler vanished overnight, moving to Arizona to live with their real father. It turned out Linda had been lying about having custody. The kids weren't even in the grade she claimed, they were both years older and had been working as her accomplices. The FBI recovered most of Dad's money. Agent Martinez explained that Linda had become overconfident and sloppy. The detailed records kept by her assistant proved to be invaluable evidence. 6 months later, I received the Reynolds Award for Excellence in Pediatric Therapy. As I stood on stage at Boston Children's Hospital, I spotted Dad in the audience, smiling proudly. Slowly but surely, we were rebuilding our relationship. At my new support group for survivors of financial fraud, I shared my story. "People need to know they're not alone," I told them. "Toxic people count on our silence. They want us to feel embarrassed and isolated, but there's strength in speaking up." That fall, as the leaves turned golden, I hosted Thanksgiving at my downtown apartment. Amy brought her famous apple pie, Michael made his grandmother's stuffing, and Dad showed up with Mom's sweet potato casserole recipe. To family, Dad said, raising his glass of sparkling cider, "The ones we choose, and the ones who choose us." I looked around at the people who'd stood by me, who'd helped me expose the truth, without asking for anything in return. This was real family. Meanwhile, Linda faced federal charges in multiple states. Her sentence, 25 years in prison, no early release. What about you? What would you do if you discovered your parents' new spouse was secretly stealing their life savings? Would you quietly gather evidence like I did or confront them right away? It's scary to think that people like Linda are out there, targeting vulnerable families. Share your thoughts in the comments, I read every single one. And if you want to hear more true stories about overcoming toxic people and finding justice, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Together, we can help others recognize the warning signs before it's too late.